Hello! Today I would like to share about my Linux origin story. And it started about 20 years ago with Ubuntu. So then I was like 13 years old. And I remember, if we go back here and just look at the early versions, it was around here, like 𝗘𝗶𝗹𝗟 and 𝗵𝗡𝗡𝗟. Somewhere around here that I started with Linux. So then I was about 13 years old and I was interested in computers. I installed like Windows 98 and XP and read in the Swedish IT news about Ubuntu. And yeah, I got myself a CD and installed that. And since then I've been using Linux. I remember this version and 𝗘𝗎𝗡. And in the beginning, so then it was a bit more, I guess it still is, but like evangelization among Linux people, and then like downloading big files was a bit more difficult. So I remember, like I found an article here, it's from 2008, but you could order a CD and get it for free. So I remember that when I was like a teenager, that from a Swedish Ubuntu site, that I ordered a CD and got that, and it was like a couple of times I did that for a couple of versions. So when we had like a broadband, but still it was quite a large file, and yeah, for me it was easier than to order a CD and get it already on a CD and everything ready. And I remember also from the beginning they had this cover art. It was a bit, I thought about like humans and oh, so you got these half-naked people, some nostalgia over that. So I was using Ubuntu for a long while, but then I started to test other distributions. So I've been using Linux Mint and Debian, Arch Linux, Manjaro. Now I'm using Fedora. And I think those are the ones I've been like using for a longer while, but then I've also installed and just tried quickly other ones like 𝗘𝗺𝗡𝗟, 𝗟𝗜𝗡𝗟, I think I tried, yeah, and a few other ones. But now I'm using Fedora, and I've been using Fedora for like the last 10 years. So it was in the end of my university studies when I installed Fedora, and then I haven't felt any need since then to switch to another distribution. So that's where I got stuck then. Before that, I had this desire to. It was always like something I was missing or something. But Fedora has, I think, suits my needs very well. The reason why I like left Ubuntu, I want to show you one screenshot here. It's something I found. But like when I was using Ubuntu, like often I got these like pop-ups, and it was I hear about something. Sorry, Ubuntu has experienced an internal error, and I couldn't really figure out like why do these things pop up. And it was, I don't remember exactly now, but there were some like yankiness that even on different computers I still experienced errors like this. And I don't know if I was just very unlucky, or if it was that for everybody, or but when I went to Fedora, I have never like experienced anything like this here. Also with the Ubuntu, they're a bit like more experimental, it feels like. Here, this is not that old. So somebody is teaching Ubuntu over snaps. So they have their like own package format. Instead of debs, they have the snaps that they have come later. But now they're like repackaging old applications that are available like deb packages. But now they distribute them as snaps. But they are not like functioning as well always. So people, I've read or heard it several times that like they changed the Firefox application and now distribute it as a snap package. But like it starts more slowly, and it has some issues. Also in the past, Ubuntu, they had their own user interface instead of GNOME. So they had like GNOME 2, but then they went to Unity, which was their own project. Now they have discontinued it and are using GNOME once again. But for a long while they tried to make their own user interface. They also had Upstart, the program that handles the startup of and handling of the processes on Linux. Like all other major distributions went to systemd, but Ubuntu went with Upstart that they developed, and for a long while they were using that. And during that time they were also like betting on mobile, so they developed Ubuntu Touch. And I think maybe it's good with all these initiatives. It's a bit sad that like nothing or few things panned out as they had hoped for. But yeah, I felt like at the time people felt like maybe the desktop was not that maintained anymore, and yeah, like I experienced the errors like this, so eventually I left. And now I'm using Fedora, the Sway spin, but for many years I used the GNOME spin, or like that's the default Fedora with GNOME. But Sway, yeah, like in the past I have used i3, so that's a tiling window manager. And Sway, it's like inspired by i3, but it's instead of being made for X11, that is like being discontinued and phased out. Sway is a successor for Wayland, so it's a bit more modern. Here they have their website. Here they say that it's a replacement for i3. So it's so that's what I'm using now. It's a tiling window manager, and I think it works very well. And also, what I like with Fedora is they release a new version every half a year. So during the spring and during autumn, and I think that's frequent enough for me. Like if you compare that to Debian, I think Debian releases maybe one new version every 2 or 3 years, something like that. So like with Debian, it's much more time between each release, but also when they eventually release, so that's they won't have much more stable, and it's a bit older packages compared to Fedora, which releases more often, but also when they release it's much more like up-to-date packages. But if you compare to like Arch Linux, with Arch, then it's like bleeding edge. As soon as something is released, then it's pushed out, so you always have the latest. But I think Fedora, it's like a sweet spot for me. It's recent and updated enough for me, and I never feel like I'm using something old. For me, everything is enough up to date. And we can just check here, but it's actually quite similar to Ubuntu. So here on Distro Watch, if you compare the latest Ubuntu with the latest Fedora release, and if you look at some major packages here, refresh, you can just look at some popular programs here, and yeah, like Bash, almost the same version. Let's see something else. 𝗘𝗺𝗶𝗹, GNOME Shell, both for 49. GTK, both for 4.20. LibreOffice, both for 25. Yeah, but we can see they are quite similar, both Ubuntu and Fedora. And I believe that with Fedora, I guess with Ubuntu maybe as well, that they are like trying to align their releases with GNOME, so it's not that far after a new GNOME release that a Fedora release comes out, so you're not that far behind. And also, so like the packages, like in the Fedora repository and the official ones, I think they are like enough up to date, but maybe it's not like as big as what you have with the Arch Linux and their AUR, so the user repository with so there you can find like anything. So I don't think Fedora is at that level, but they have like RPM Fusion. So that's some third-party repository that you can enable. I think I have done that, but there you can find a lot of good packages. So by complementing with the RPM Fusion, I think you can find most things that you need. And then in some rare instances, I'm also using flat packages for some things. So I think it's like Obsidian and this Zen browser. I think they come both as flat packs, what I've found. And you are also able to use this Fedora Copper. So that's like similar to the AUR with the user packages. But I've been little bit skeptical to use these ones since I think they're like user made. So yeah, you kind of need to trust, I think, the ones who put them up. Maybe it's like similar to the AUR, I'm not really sure. But I think like with all these sources in combination, like I haven't like stumbled up on any program I have not been able to install, but like always I'm able to find it somewhere. So that has been enough for me. But I'm also not like trying out that many different programs. I have my quite small set of programs that work well for me, and it's enough for me. So I don't really need that huge library that is the AUR. So yeah, I think that's what I like with Fedora, that it's up to date and it's very stable, and they have their half a year releases, and I never had any issues with updating from one release to another, and I have everything I need. So for me, I haven't felt like any need to step away and find something else. I also think they are very up to date with Fedora, but at the same time it's a bit conservative. They're using systemd and as default GNOME and have been like forever, and yeah, using flat packs that I think most are behind. It's not that many who have like adopted with the snap packages. So it feels like a little bit more standard Linux. But yeah, Ubuntu has a bit ditched their custom things and is closer to like what Fedora looks like. But now it was quite a while ago since I used Ubuntu, so I guess it has improved. But I have always been happy with Fedora and haven't seen any need to switch to something else. So that's why I have been staying. So I think that's it about my origin story with Linux, and how I started with Ubuntu and why I left, and how I ended up at Fedora. But in the comments, please share how you started with Linux and when, and what distribution you're using at the moment. That would be fun to read. Have a great day and see you another time. Bye bye.